Hey, Saners. Thank you for staying up late. Did not expect I'd be doing a footy classified stream, but here we are. A Rossalong as Terry named or coined, so we'll go with that. Let's see what we make of it. I've got it up here. I'm kind of hoping we find something out. It's been a big 48 hours or so. Obviously, a lot of talk around Windy, Wilkie, Naz, Marshall, Lika Lear, De Koning, Harley Reid. The list just goes on. And I know everyone in the comments has got a lot of questions. I've got a lot of questions as well, and I'm hoping we hear a little bit more from Ross on the panel. We'll see how long it takes them to get into it, but I'd imagine that's going to be a fair talking point. And yeah, let me know how you're feeling in the comments as well. Let's see. Time for Ross the Boss to go in ruthless mode. I agree. I feel like, who is it? Michelangelo Rucci from South Australia. He's started all this with a lot of his little rumors. So it's going to be interesting to see if Ross takes a shot at him. Well, hopefully Ross has some news. This is the place to do it. Eddie did kind of allude to something before it started where he said Ross says no to Harley, but maybe there's good news on Nasiah. So I don't know if Eddie's just pulling our leg there or he's got some intel from what Ross might be talking about, but there's absolutely going to be a lot of questions there. St Kilda's got a target on their back. We all know that. They've been going hard on the draft, on the academies, on all of that sort of thing. They want Ross's, he's talked about he wants a pure first round of the draft, which Geelong have come out and supported. Obviously, there are clubs out there, we know namely which ones they are, that are going to be against that, and no doubt they're going to try and destabilise the footy club. But Tom Morris is on the panel, and I think he did talk about or confirm the Cal Wilkie news, or at least there's harmony in the playing group. But we'll see what Ross has to say about that, because I know last night Nick Rewalt with Caro, he countered that and said that's not what I'm hearing from St Kilda people. So already Rewalt's coming out to kind of close that down. This is the sort of thing where you let it drag on and it builds momentum, and it can actually then eventually, even if it's fake news, seep into the four walls of the footy club, and that can really work against you. So I think Ross coming out tonight is no coincidence that they're saying they don't have a panelist and Ross is filling the spot, but coincidental timing. Let's see what they say. Here we go. They're talking about Tim McConey. We need a body language expert. Good one. That's solid, Luke. Mate, you wish, mate. You wish. Yeah. All right, Michael. Anything he says of note, I will let you know. All right. If I go silent, I'm just listening to key points. Let's see what he says. I'll put this in front of me, actually. Okay. Tom Morris going for the headline. They won't be in a pies jumper, mate. Don't worry about that. He's on Naz. All right, I've got you. They've got footage of Naz on Ross's shoulders. I'm not sure if I can put the audio on at the moment. Unless I can, I'm not sure. I might get copyright, but I'll try and share it. I'm not going to share screen. I did give you a plug at the start. I did mention you at the start. Don't worry about that. I just didn't change the title. Live reaction, just cuts through. So Eddie's kind of alluded to that he's heard some at least news that will make St Kilda supporters relax in the coming days. So let's see if that's true. Mm, it was taken down within a couple of hours of it being posted. So I saw it posted, and then it was taken down a couple hours later. But by that point, it's screen recorded. It goes out. I think Carl Delina talked about it on 3AW, where they did talk to the person that had posted it, and they didn't like that sort of thing came out. Um, could have been strategic. I don't know. Could be windy. No surprise that GWS news is broke. Often that happens just before a deal is about to be done to just kind of amp up the price a little bit before the signature gets put down. But um, I wouldn't read too much into that Giant stuff. Sloaney's talking about it now. Harley Reid. He can handle it, mate. He can handle it. Yep. I'm gonna have my work cut out for me if we don't get signatures now and the season ends, and I'm worrying about literally 6, 7 players coming in, going. I wouldn't mind having a few big names locked away now, so that at least I don't have to stress. We don't have to stress. Um, tricky one. I personally think his form has kind of come into it. We probably didn't expect it to be as it is. Um, it could just be. It could be the terms. It could be the years. Does he go short term? Does he stay long term? I think it's hopefully around that mark, and not whether he wants to go home. Ross has just said the Harley Reid news that Tim Watson couldn't confirm but leaked anyway is not true. That's what Ross has said. That's the first thing Ross has said is not true. I mean, yeah, if he wins the Brownlow, imagine his price. But I don't think we want to wait that long. Winhager's unsigned. Steele's contracted. Wilkie rang Ross. I never entertained leaving St Kilda. I love St Kilda. That's what he said. Kel Wilkie has called him and said that. 6:30 tonight. Called him. I've never entertained leaving. I love what we're doing. His concern is only about signing Naz because Naz is a superstar and he just wants he's the best teammates around him. But he's not looking at going anywhere. Sorry, Swoop. I don't think he's coming to the Pies, mate. People have to remember that too. I mean, no disrespect to Essendon, they've got injuries, but we are playing like a team that seems to enjoy their football together. Um, the vibes in the rooms after the game seemed very good. Body language can tell you a lot about how things are going, even without words. And I just don't get that vibe that there's that much disharmony. Tom Morris is trying hard here. It's never, ever better to tank. I'm never, ever going to agree with that. Once you get stuck down the bottom, it's impossible to come back up if you've got a losing culture. You need to start winning, especially when you're fielding some young players, and building that around them. They want to win. Taru's not there to lose. Filippo's not there to lose. Darcy Wilson's not there to lose. Back the players you've got. Don't always think to the draft. Trust what you've got. And I think we should be. Yeah. He's talking about Rucci now. Ross has just insulted Morris without really telling him to his face, calling him a chook. Happy to do it. Happy to do it. I might do it more if you're happy to tune in. That yeah, it wasn't much on Windy apart from his unsigned, so maybe work to do there. I don't know if they're going to go back into it, so I'll stay on stream for a little bit more if they circle back to Saints, but I think that puts a little bit of what we were all worried about to bed. Wilkie called him, um, shut that down pretty quickly. Harley Reid is shut down. He said he's concerned with Naz, but there's work to do there, and we're doing the best that we can. Windy's unsigned, in progress, and Rowan Marshall he loves, and they had a bit of a joke in the gym this morning. I mean, what else is there really? If you got any more concerns that Ross hasn't addressed, put them in the comments. If I have any sort of if I can help in any way, I will, because I know a lot of Saints fans are absolutely stressing, and I'm one of them. And I couldn't believe driving to the podcast studio yesterday and the amount of messages I was getting about Wilkie and all these players are, you don't even expect to worry about at this point in time. When they're contracted, Wilkie's got 2 years left on his deal. It's very odd that this news um, came out of nowhere, but we are an easy target. We are fighting against the AFL. We're poking at the Northern Academies, and we're flaunting cash. It's always going to be, that's the ingredients to stir the pot. Um, I'll put this down so I can hear myself. But I don't think Steely will be um, captain next year. But I think that'll be, or maybe he'll be co-captain, or maybe vice, depending on what happens with him. But I do think Cal Wilkie, just the way that he presents himself and the way he speaks and his leadership on field, I think he is the natural progression for a leader. It's nothing against Steely, but I think Wilkie just has all the traits, and I think that would be fine. And even then, maybe if Steely just gets to focus on his football again, we might actually see him back to just that gun mid that we got all those years ago. He said he respects who was it, Tim Watson, but he got that wrong. So I mean, he knows from my end, if he knows something about Naz, he's not going to bring it up on Footy Classified. He kind of alluded to that before. If he had breaking news, he's not going to mention it here to Tom Morris to go with it. He's going to probably sort it out with St Kilda and then have something. I really hope this is the week. It's our last game in Melbourne. I've said that if Naz isn't signed once the final siren of the Giants game goes, that's kind of when I'm actually worrying. I'm not really worried just yet because I can understand the process. I'm frustrated and I'm impatient like all of us, but I can understand the annoying game of cat and mouse and the agent and waiting it out because his price goes up and this sort of thing. And maybe there's different moving parts with TDK, with Windy and whatnot. Who knows? Filippo was rumored to be signing and extending until 2030. That's one that isn't done yet, but I'm hoping maybe we get a big announcement with Naz, Windy, Filippo. That'd be incredible. That's the future. That's how you sell memberships and crowds for next year. You retain your guns, and then you bring. I think if we sign Naz and Windy, I think then all this talk of overspending on other players, I think that gets subdued. I think right now, at least from what I'm reading, everyone's, believing any bit of news because the formula is St Kilda, cap space, war chest, and then, it's ChatGPT. Put in a name, link them to another club because we can't pay them what they're worth. And that's clicks automatically. So I think, I think at the moment, don't believe everything you read, Saners. I know it's tricky, but because it's all bullshit, to be honest. I haven't really read one article in the last week that seems anywhere near objective. They've all got their sort of ulterior motives. And if it's coming from SEN and it's coming from Rucci, please. The guy, he's a freelancer at Port Adelaide. That it's all you need to know. That's all you need to know. If it's coming from South Australia, I think you can understand why they're doing what they're doing. If anything, the louder the South Australian media like Rucci gets, maybe that means we're making progress. Maybe they're going to the bottom of the barrel and they're trying to make up all this stuff to destabilize St Kilda and change his mind. I don't know. That's just me spitballing, but it's the media, they're the mouthpiece at the end of the day. If Ross could say that the media is absolute bullshit and making up crap, he would have, but he's the coach of an AFL football club at the moment. Maybe if it was Ross, the media personality from 4 years ago, he might have said something like that. But I think the way he kind of understood the game and the way he's, like I said, he kind of gave a, kind of put Tom Morris in his place without putting Tom Morris in his place. I think that's, we all know that he got the leak of Goodwin getting the sack and all that sort of thing. Ross isn't going to want someone to get the lead on Naz signing or whatever. Yeah, the feeding the chickens. and then Tom's like, I guess I'm a chook then. Took great offense to that. It was pretty funny. Thank you very much, Nathan. Cheers, mate. Thank you, everyone. If you got any more questions, by the way, happy to answer them. If you got any concerns still, despite Ross the Boss going on live and quashing a few of them, yeah, feel free to put them in the comments. There's over 945 of you tuning in, which is incredible. So really appreciate that. I'm going to stay on for a little bit longer. Got some questions here, and Ross might jump back on. There might be some more news. Let's see. Are we missing anyone? Have we covered every single player? He just said he's unsigned right now. He didn't say anything really beyond that. He just said, wait, he's unsigned and we're working through it. I'm hoping that once we sign one, we'll sign two, and then it's kind of, we can calm down there. Yeah, and even the Watson one in the article, Sainers, I know you see the headline, you panic, you flick it to me or you flick it to your mates, and you're like, oh my God, what's St Kilda doing? In the article itself, it said, I know this is unconfirmed, or this is unconfirmed, but I feel that this is what's happening. If they feel that and it's unconfirmed, it's not news. It's opinion. Yeah, he shut that one down. Although some people might then say, well, he didn't shut down that we didn't offer him something. He's shutting down that we only we didn't offer him that much. But we all, I think, agree that Harley will either stay at West Coast or he'll probably go to, another big Victorian club. I think that's what he stated, or at least what I've heard. Leah, again, I know a lot of people are thinking he's not worth it, but the amount of games I've watched, we are undersized all over the ground. So anything that can help support Cal Wilkie, support Caminiti, give us flexibility to put Tyroo down the forward line if we can, because that's where I think he's going to play his best football. I'm all for it. I don't think he's going to cost anywhere near what is being talked up. I think that they're picking numbers out of thin air. I mean, that's another conversation. If player payments, player salaries were public, we wouldn't have these problems with, them saying he's worth X amount, but he's really getting less, and that sort of thing. But it's less clickbait, They say 750, it might be 500, but that doesn't sell. So, yeah, good question, Leon. Starting Sunday, I do expect it. I think they've got their strongest team yet. I would be very shocked and disappointed if the girls don't manage to play finals for, I think, the first time in their history. So that would be great. Yes, pretty much. It's like Rucci says something on SEN, and then I think Sam Edmund gets it, who also works for SEN, and then they go on, I think, the agenda setters, and Hutchie owns or runs SEN. So it's all just, you connect the dots. It's and John Ralph actually came out the same night, last night, and in his response, he said, Cal Wilkie is not going anywhere, but I do believe there is some disharmony. So he said Cal's not going anywhere, but no one read that. No one processed that. They just jumped to, oh my God, Cal's going to leave. Everyone's leaving. We're not going to have this is the Brisbane Go Home 5 or whatever it was in 2013, I think, or something like that. People just pick a part of the headline, but John Ralph did actually say, Cal Wilkie's not going anywhere. So the rest of it's irrelevant if Cal Wilkie's not going anywhere, because then it's not true. Yeah, I think Cal would be a great captain. That would be nuts. Just do the old, go to do the handshake and then just go, nah, see you later. I'm signing with Saints for 7 years. Number 7 for 7. How good would that be? I do realize that most of this stream could be clipped and could be taken wildly out of context, but it's a Tuesday night. It's 10 o'clock. I'm having my tea, and it's been a stressful couple of days. I'm telling you, we've had 3 wins in a row, and yet I think the football is just completely secondary. I think we're all just so worried about Not now, but the next 5 years and this next 6-7 weeks, and then the off season, it's going to be absolutely chaos. I'm going to be doing trade talk videos every 6 minutes. Yeah. They said on Midweek Tackle, it's called that it was from multiple sources, but the only source was Rucci. Exactly. Most of the time in these situations, you have a question, you think about it for an extra minute or two, you'll think of the answer. You'll see where the truth is. I think they're going to do, once this finishes, I believe on 9 Now, they're going to have a replay on at I think maybe 10:40. But usually someone does upload the full episodes on YouTube, and you can watch them on 9 Now. Whenever you want, just sign up. It's free, and then you just go to like shows, sport, click on Footy Classified, and you can watch the replay. So there you go. Yeah. I mean, and Rowe's the easy target because we're potentially getting Tom de Koning in. That is the exact same position. It's like anything. If you get a player who's younger, maybe about to reach his prime on big money in a position that we already have covered, that player in that position right now, there's going to be question marks on his head. It's just common sense. But Rowe has said, I think he only said it maybe a month ago, he would happily play as a dual ruck. And we have been trialing it for most weeks the last 5 weeks. We've had Heath in the team, Keeler's in the team. I'd love to see Dodson debut this week and play ruck with Rowe. Heath was subbed off on the weekend, so I can see him just going back to VFL and dominating, getting his confidence up again. But giving Dodson a shout against a seriously undermanned Bombers, that would be the perfect opportunity to find out, more. And I'd love to play Rowe forward in this game, stretch them. We have the capability in this game to play Dodson in the ruck a little bit against Goldstein and have Rowe play full forward with Sharman, which would be really exciting. Maybe Taru plays forward in this game, depending on how Essendon line up. It's just the game at the moment, mate. No guarantee. We don't know what's happening with Naz, but we know that South Australia, we know that they're going to be doing whatever they can to make St Kilda look like a basket case to get their man. It's just the name of the game. It's just what happens. They would be silly not to be honest, if they really want to get one of the best players in the AFL currently right now. You do everything you can. And as much as it is a pain in the ass for us to deal with, that's just what happens. Yeah, there you go. These things don't really get publicized much. You got to go diving. You got to really just focus on finding the interviews, finding the quotes. But obviously, when you're scrolling Twitter, you see the headline. You're not going to do it. You're just going to take it on face value. And most of the time lately, it's caused panic. Harvey says, when was the last time you saw this much potential in a young, up-and-coming side? It feels for years we have always been the young team supposed to be good in a few years' time, which has never materialized. Last time I felt this way, genuinely, would have been 20 years ago. Would have been 04, 05. Would have been, even 2006, 7, we kind of underperformed, but Ross came in 2007, missed finals completely, but then we played in prelim, grand final, and then 2 grand finals in 2010. So it takes time, but this is the most excited I've been. And that's why I think we're all wanting to get these signatures. When was the last time we stressed about youngsters going to other clubs? In a way, that's a compliment because other clubs see value in who we're drafting, but we need to keep them. We need to make sure that we lock them down because, Windy might be wanting a certain amount at St Kilda, but maybe Collingwood comes in and tries to up it. We need to make sure that they feel valued, they see the future, they see the plan, and they commit. And they want to play together. Mitch Owens, Windy, and Naz. I don't want to see a St Kilda team that doesn't have all three of them, all three of the mates that we all drafted at the one time. I don't want to see the St Kilda team run out next year and we're missing 1 or 2 of them. They've all got to be there. They've all got to buy in. Everyone's got to buy in and see this through. We can't be losing key parts before we even get going, really, which is why I did the video last week, kind of putting a bit more pressure on the club and the admin to just do everything you can to sort this shit out. Look how panicky we are. There's 1,000 people of us watching Footy Classified right now. I've never done a Footy Classified watch along, but that's how sensitive we all are, because we can see the finish line. Not the finish line, but we can see, that growth that we haven't seen in 20 years. It's crazy. John Ralph said today, the whisper is Naz has said he's going to the Crows if he leaves. Apparently, he said he'll be in the same town as his mates, but he will also be in a flag contention. So it's funny that people always say this stuff, but it's always a whisper. It's always a murmur. It's always an unconfirmed source. It's always their dog, it was on a piece of paper and their dog ate it and ripped it up. But, that's news. We'll know when we know. I'm hoping it's this week. I'm hoping it's before the Giants game. I don't want to go into the finals bye and we're still up in the air. I think we all want answers quickly. And once that domino falls, then I dare say a lot will follow. But right now, we just don't know. How am I watching Footy Classified? I'm on 9now.com.au/live channel-9. Yeah. Didn't he talk about Collingwood? I don't know if Sweep's still watching, but he talked about Collingwood. I think he got some of those wrong. Yeah. Let's see how quickly. I'll put it in the chat for people that can't find it. Ross isn't. He's still on, but I think they've covered all the Saints stuff. But it's easy to just put headlines out there and everything like that. But when you're sitting in front of Ross the boss, you better know that what you've got is right. Yeah. Who would be the most credible source? Cal Toomey's very good. I rate Cal Toomey. It's slim pickings after that, to be honest. Yeah, it's a bit like if you build it, they will come. Well, if Naz doesn't stay, you watch our memberships break records. If he does, 100%. All right, they're back. Let's see if... they're talking about Adelaide Collingwood, so it's probably all done on the Saints end. But if you've got any more questions, let me know. Surely bodes well for him staying. I'll look for any sign. Yeah. That can just be cancelled at any moment. Sorry to burst your bubble, Hannah, but yeah, I can't, I'm sure that's something he agreed to months ago, but yeah, the longer that stays on, the better the sign. But we all know that, I think it was Dusty in 2017, he signed the Thursday before the finals. I think it was August 31st. He left it until they were about to play, essentially, and then signed on long term. So these things can take time. Obviously, he didn't have a go home factor and anything like that, but yeah, these things can take time. Hopefully, Saints fans are known for being patient, or maybe too patient, but hopefully this time our patience actually, is rewarded. Yeah, Boak did. Yeah, it's just a function. They make news out of that. Like, Saints are pulling out the big guns to convince Naz to stay. It could just be they were at a function for Steely's 200th and Gil was there, and he's a Saints fan. He's a Saints nuffy. Of course he's going to go up to Naz and have a chat. Like, why would? Like, of course you would. Yeah, look, I'm not... like Ross said, until it's done, it's not done. But if he becomes a St Kilda player, I'm not going to be taking any note of his last 10 weeks. To be honest, his first maybe 7 or 8 weeks were exceptional. His last year's form was great. And if you look at the amount of times Rowe has struggled against the big rucks, it's Look, if you go and look at some of the our losses and you look at who the opposition's best player was, there's about 4 or 5 games there where they're ruck. Like Lloyd Meek was the best player for Hawthorn when we played them. Cameron was Collingwood's best player when we played them. Gawn, Melbourne. You look at all these things, and if they change the ruck rules, which I think they might, it gives players like Tom De Koning even more of an advantage, and it would be the perfect. And then the if they change the sub, get rid of the sub, and there's 5 on the bench or whatever it is, you can absolutely play 2 rucks and get away with it. If they change the rules and Tom can just run and jump and do all that sort of stuff, which is his what I think is one of his biggest traits, his leap, and then you've got the bench. So it could be very smart business if we can get that over the line, but remains to be seen. Key takeaways. Okay, let me try and remember who we talked about. Naz, unsigned. We're doing everything we can. That's where that's at. He just said Windy is unsigned. TBC. He said that Cal Wilkie that's all bullshit. He called him at 6:30 tonight before Ross went live and said, I am a St Kilda man. I love the club. I love the direction. The only thing that Cal Wilkie is concerned about is getting Naz done. That is the only thing. He wants the best players at St Kilda to succeed. Cal Wilkie is not going anywhere, so we can just get rid of that one. Who was the other one? Rowan Marshall. He said he's contracted. He's contracted for 2 more years. We forget. So until anything happens, he's a St Kilda player. And Rowe wants to play as a 2-ruck. He's happy to do it. And they had a joke this morning in the gym, and there's no issues there. So unless a club comes around and offers pick 2 for Rowe, I can't imagine anything's going to get done. I know Geelong is the rumor, but again, it is just a rumor. I don't think they actually talked about Lee Galea at all. Once the Wilkie thing was kind of done, there's kind of no point, because that's where that stemmed from, was bringing Lee Galea on the same money as Wilkie. But obviously Ross has said that's all BS. So, we'll leave that one there. And he said Tom De Koning was not done yet, and things can change very quickly. Like he mentioned Lance Franklin, they all thought he was going to go, I can't remember where, but then Sydney came and got him last minute. So things can change. And he said the Harley Reid thing was not true, which was what Tim Watson reported on $25 million for 12 years or something like that. So that is where everything is at, I think, off the top of my head. Yeah. I'm really hoping the delay on Naz is that he's deciding whether to sign just for 2 years, which I think is what he would do, or at least what I tipped maybe months ago. I thought he'd do the 2 years because that's when Ross's contract ends. That's before Tassie kicks in. The cap goes up even more. Back yourself for 2 years. He might win a few best and fairest in that time, a few All-Australian jackets, finish top 5 in the Brownlow. His price goes through the roof again, and then he can get his big payday. Or maybe St Kilda says, well, there's also an 8-year deal here, and we'll give you a lifetime deal and lifetime security. Do you want it? Maybe that's what the delay is, but we will see. Yeah. Thanks for the... If Naz left, we would have to get some profile player in return. Therefore, whilst it would be devastating, would it really be so completely detrimental? Is Naz irreplaceable? I think he is at the moment. I don't think anyone in the competition comes close to the way he plays. And also, the key thing with him is he plays halfback at an All-Australian level. He plays midfield as an All-Australian Brownlow level at the moment. Obviously, it's a small sample size, which Ross has mentioned. Everyone talks about Bont and that, but Bont's done it for 8 years, not 8 weeks. I think he mentioned it in his presser maybe a couple of weeks ago. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I remember something like that. That although, yes, Naz, we expect to be a star, it's only 8 weeks that we're really, going crazy on him. And yeah, Port have said they don't want to lose Butters, Bergman, none of that. So that when that happened, I kind of assumed we would be able to retain Naz. And there's also no talk of whether he even wants to go home. It's just kind of assumed. It's weird. Like no one's actually come out and said he's requested to go home or anything like that. Maybe he's genuinely torn, but I'm hoping We'll hear some good news soon. Liam says Naz signing similar to Dusty's. His value kept going up and up and up. The longer he left it, exactly what Naz is doing, just smart management. Well, the best and fairest is on September 29, I think. Is that just after the grand final? And obviously after the Brownlow. So does he go up on the best and fairest, pick up the medal because we know he's going to win it, and have a speech and say, all right, keen to be here for another 20 years. That'll be nice. I'm hoping so, Julia. I'm hoping so. He fits a need. He fits a need. And like, people forget, yes, we're spending money, but it's not costing us a draft pick. We're not using up a first round draft pick to get a player. If you don't have picks and you don't want to use picks and you've got money, you use the money. It's there for a reason. Yeah, I think Naz jumps out to the umps. Like, I reckon I wouldn't be surprised in the Brownlow count. We'll do a watch along, by the way, for the Brownlow because that's going to be awesome to have a Saints player hopefully poll really well. But I reckon he's going to poll in games we don't expect because he's done something or he's had a big quarter and it's jumped out and it's caught the eye. I think he's a sort of player, like, no offense to Dacos and that, but there's probably games where he's maybe the fifth best player on the ground, but because it's him and he does some really handy things with ball in hand, it's going to jump out and the ump will probably just go one vote. Like, he'll pick up votes, I think, along the year that we don't expect, which I think will bode well for the back end where he's going on this run. Can one player turn the Saints? I don't think one. I mean, I think signing like a player like Naz long term, I think spreads to the rest of the competition that what St Kilda's doing and the culture and more importantly, the belief of what, like a player like him to really believe in what we're doing and see that we could be building into something that sells a lot, I think. And then the flip side, if players leave, which, what everyone thought 24 hours ago, that does the opposite. No player wants to go to a club like that. So that puts more pressure on the free agents that come in. If we're losing players, but they're coming in on big coin, a lot of pressure is going to be on them to deliver. But if everyone signs, we pick up players, maybe we can have nice things. I don't know. We're Saints fans. We don't usually believe we can have nice things, but maybe just once, please, can we have nice things? Yeah, well, good on them. They can think that. Look, at the end of the day, we could offer Naz ridiculous amounts, which I'm sure we are already. But if he wants to go home closer to family, there's absolutely nothing we can do. That is a sad reality. But we don't believe that to be the case. Hmm. Right. I'm just going to get rid of Footy Classified because I don't think that's done. That is the impossible question, Dan. That is the impossible question. What can we expect? I don't even want to think about it, to be honest, because I just don't think anything of value would. If Port lose Butters, like, I would love Butters and or Bergman would be great, but they'd have to lose Butters to get picks to be able to at least get anywhere near what we would want. I just feel like we would want a player or players involved. Butters and Georgiades would be nice. That's not going to happen. Joshua says, if we get TDK, Aaliyah, and a couple of others and retain Windy, Naz, and Darcy, I think we can become a destination club. Yeah, to be honest, if we lose Naz, I don't think there's anything there that will satisfy us, but I'm just hoping it will not get down to that point. I hope the reported offer you guys are putting to Harley is incorrect, giving a 19-year-old kid that much. Joe, are you talking about Harley Reid, right? Ross put that, he shut that down on Footy Classified about 30 minutes ago. So he said that's untrue. He said he rates Tim Watson, but Tim Watson got that one wrong. So it's hilarious. People think that we somehow are going to use up all of our cap space on like 4 players. Seriously? With Carl Delina, Bassett there, David missing these blokes overseeing everything, they're just going to let the list management blow up? I just, yeah, bit more faith, I think. Yeah. I mean, the compo pick, yeah. I just hope we get at least a couple of years. Like even if it's the 2-year deal, just to prove to him, to everyone at the club, to the supporters that we are going somewhere, and I'd love to see just him at a centre bounce with Rowe, with TDK, with a fit Filippo, Garcia, Boxall, these sort of guys, and then we can really assess everything. Call me crazy, but I'd happy to give that fake Harley Reid contract to Naz. There must be farmland in Moorabbin that we've required, along with some fresh. Yeah, we'll sign TDK on a deal, 500,000 a year, but we'll give him a couple of $2 million properties. One that he can live in, and then one he can sell. I'm sure other clubs do that. Woody's onto that one. If he's tuning in, he'll do a video on that and talk about all the big news. G'day, Lucky. Thanks for tuning in, mate. I know this is a very random one. This is probably the latest live I've done in a while. Hopefully I'll do more. Much better than just doing a random video. I can answer your questions on the fly, give any sort of info that I can. Yeah, Jordan Dawson might actually poll very well. He might even win the Brownlow. A Brownlow medalist for a future Brownlow medalist? Ross is the king of keeping things in-house. Going to be a lot of media with egg on face. He's got so many tricks. I mean, yeah, if you watched even his presser, I think it was during the week last Thursday before the Richmond game. First time I've ever watched a presser from Ross, and he gave nothing to the media. It's like he didn't want to be there. It was like a 5-minute interview. It was the shortest presser he's done in years, I reckon. He looked like he woke up on the wrong side of the bed and he just couldn't stand them. Because he knows that they're asking questions because they want clicks. They want headlines. He's not here for that. He just wants to coach. G'day, Joondalup Knights. What are we expecting from the show tonight? I believe it's done, but I'm still just answering comments as we go. But Ross has basically talked about Naz, Windy, Marshall, Leaker, TDK, Harley Reid, pretty much the entire St Kilda list, and shut down pretty much all of the things that we were worried about. Obviously, the big one is Naz. He didn't have much info on that one, but he said we're doing everything we can to lock that one down. And Eddie Maguire pre-show alluded to the fact that we might be calm soon. There might be some good news coming, but he didn't clarify as to what. So maybe Eddie Maguire knows something that Ross knows. Maybe Ross told him something, but they didn't bring it up. Maybe that's alluding to a signature or two very soon. Fingers crossed. 100%, Joe. Yeah. Getting on Twitter and trying to, and fighting it and trying to convince people that it's not all true. That's the hard part, right? Like people believe things or they just panic and they expect the worst from St Kilda. But I don't really know if the AFL wants a well-run St Kilda, to be honest. I think they want the small clubs to just know where they stand in the food chain and just kind of stay there. But I think we're pissing a few people off and a few different clubs, and I think this is their best way to kind of go for us. And I wouldn't be surprised if Gold Coast Suns, just as a gag, just release something to piss us off because Ross called them Nepo babies. Just wouldn't be surprising, Just think all these clubs, the ones that disagree in terms of the draft, in terms of academies, all that, they're all going to team up and try and screw us. Because imagine the news story if St Kilda is preaching about academies and we lose one of our own in Marcus Winhager. Like the narrative is there. to get clicks, to piss people off, to shake a tree at Moorabbin. It's all there. I'm not going to be there, but hopefully it's a good night. Is that this week or is that next week? Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. The same people that talk about St Kilda 24/7 are the same people that say we're irrelevant and all this sort of thing. I can't think of another club that's been posted about more this season, to be honest. I don't know if that's just me wearing my red, white, and black glasses, but it just seems every day on Twitter, on Herald Sun, and this and that. It's absolute chaos. I think it's just like a pub thing. You get a meal and yeah, you got to do both. I said it in my video last week. You've got to draft well, you've got to retain, and you've got to explore opportunities elsewhere. If there's a disgruntled player or a player that you have room in the cap to get, and they're going to make you better and make the workload of some players better. Lee Lear will help Caminiti, will help Wilkie. He's not there to take over. He's there to support. You need to build out the depth. Thanks very much, Lucky. I appreciate the donation, mate. Yeah, that's super nice. Thank you very much. And it's nice to see so many people tuning in. There's, I think, over 1,400 of you at the moment. So I don't know where that's from. Twitter's dominating at the moment, which is crazy. So appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, if we beat the Bombers, it's mathematically out of the equation then, isn't it? So at that point, I'll be very happy, but I have to wait for Naz, because if that doesn't happen, it doesn't mean anything. I can't go at Kane if Port get Naz, so. I said it before, but I think Cal Wilkie will be skipper. Yeah. I personally think the more we're doing right behind the scenes, the more publicly the media will say we're doing wrong. So, yeah, if it's all quiet, they don't really care about us and we're not making waves in certain areas, maybe we're making the progress that they don't want. I don't know, but obviously, yeah, we'll see how it pans out in the next couple of weeks. Yeah. Anyway, I think I might wrap it up. I don't know if there's a question there. How much do you think Naz is considered how he'll be received at another club? He'll do well anywhere he goes, but will he end up as So that's what I think. I think he'll be an all-time great if he stays at St Kilda for life, especially if he's part of our second flag. And I just think he'll be a very good player. Obviously, all-Australian level player at another club, but I think the narrative, especially the jumper that he wears, what he represents, and everything like that, I think that's stuff that he won't get at another club, but we'll see. Joe, mate, if your baby Bombers shock the football world, I'm going to be in meltdown in my car doing a review. I can tell you that. Yeah. I think it's just what they're used to, Jeffrey, to be honest. I think we're all been burned before and don't want to get our hopes up until we're, holding that Premiership Cup. But that's my job. That's what I'm here for. Yeah. Yeah, I noticed that too when I was watching it. Yeah, you watch Ross and a little bit of his smirk when they're talking on the show on Footy Classified tonight. It's just, when you look beneath the surface, you begin to see. Hopefully we don't have to. Hopefully by then we'll know. As long as we get King fit next year, it'll be nice. I might wrap it up there, guys. I think that's all the news from from Ross. Maybe there'll be more news from the footy club in the coming days. I'm not too sure. But I appreciate all of you tuning in this late as well and last minute. I didn't really prep it. I just kind of wanted to do it. And yeah, really appreciate it. If, quick plug, but we've hit over 15,000 subs on YouTube. If if you want to subscribe and help us grow, hit 16. That'd be incredible. EPL starting this weekend. It's going to be fun. Hopefully my boys can get the job done against United. But yeah, subscribe. Podcast is out. We're going to have videos out during the week. We've got content out. We've had about 2 videos out today already. And if there's any breaking news, Saners, and I know I will always try to get it from a good source and try and guide everyone in the right direction when it comes to these sort of sensitive topics. So thanks very much. Hopefully tonight helped. Hopefully what Ross said puts a lot of you at ease. It definitely put me at ease, especially the Cal Wilkie one. That was the biggest one for me. He's, a future leader of this football club and everything we want in a St Kilda player. And yeah, sometimes we can have nice things. And I think Cal Wilkie is here for the long haul, and we're very lucky to have him, and we love him very much. So thanks, Saners. Enjoy the rest of your night for the last 90 minutes of it that you've got, and I'll see you very soon. And if you like these sort of videos, you like these random live streams where we just get to sit, chat, I can help answer any questions, any queries you've got. Put them in the comments. Let me know if you'd like more of this, and I'll get it in the schedule ready to go. So appreciate all of you. Thanks very much, and I'll chat to you soon. Go, you mighty Saners.